Hey, this is Nicole here with CellBotics, and with me I have Reggie. He is one of our longtime graduates, and he's here to tell you his story. And I am so excited about this. Reggie, thank you for doing this. We do get some students that contact us to do this, and we don't scour the internet and ask you or force you. We're not paying you to do this, but it's really nice when a student is like, I just want to help you if there's anything I can do. And that's exactly what you said. And that really makes my day, because if you think about it from your point of view as a business owner, when you don't have to ask for that, how good that feels when a customer's like, man, you guys did a really good job of my repair. Like, that feels so satisfying. So I feel the same way. So let's get right to it. So I have some questions I'm going to ask Reggie, and he's going to reply, and he's going to give you guys a whole rundown about his background, how he got into the industry, why he got into the industry, struggles that he's had, and then where he plans to go from now. So first, Reggie, give us a little bit about your background. Okay, so prior to owning a repair shop, give us some time frames here, and then you can tell us a little bit about what you do right now, and then we'll get into the other questions about class and stuff.
Okay. So a little bit about me. My name is Reginald Wright. I am co-owner of MrMobile Solutions along with my wife. We're here in Ocala, Florida. A little bit of my background is I was in wireless for about 20 years. Wireless sales, so I only sold cell phones. Never really got into tinkering. And then around 2016,
Did
I
you
became
own a wireless store, or did you like work at Verizon and AT&T and Sprint?
exactly what you just described.
Okay.
Matter of fact, you dropped about all the names that I worked at. I worked at Radio Shack, Verizon, Singular back in the day for some of the old
Oh
timers.
shit. Don't
I
age
know,
yourself.
right? Singular back in the day, Sprint, and I did the whole gambit for a while there. And then initially I became interested in repairing it around 2016. I put some fillers out there with some bigger franchises. Didn't seem like that was the time to make the move. And then around 2019, we opened up a exclusive partnership with a prepaid carrier. And we were thinking about doing repair at that time, but we couldn't
So
really get it going.
you and your wife opened a activation shop basically
Yep,
and
that's
sold
correct.
phones and activations. Okay.
That's exactly what
Okay,
we
cool.
did.
And that's like 2019, you said. So we're
2019.
this video is being recorded November 4th, 2024, just in case anybody wants to kind of date when this is recording. So we're 2019, you and your wife, who, by the way, is absolutely beautiful, like physically and as a person. Like, I love that woman. Her energy is like super. I don't know. Me and her, we're like, I don't know. I feel like so connected to her because she's so cheery and like, like loud and like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, she's
I
a
don't know. I
trip.
love her. Yeah. So you guys decide, okay, we're going to go from working to having our own shop doing activation and selling
Hmm.
devices. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So
And do
2019 we
repair
open up.
or yeah. Hmm.
2020 hits COVID. We all know what happened there. It really changed our mind around what it is that we needed to offer. And, we both kept talking about expanding our offering. We were like, hey, we got to expand our offering. We need to be able to capture a wider net of customers. So what ended up happening was in 2021, we bought out our agreement the summer of 2021, and then we transitioned our store name into what it is now, MrMobile Solutions. So since 2021 of May, so we're going on, 5 years next year of doing MrMobile
Hmm.
Solutions. That's when we started to branch off and do repair, unlock, sold accessories, and still had the device sales and device activations under our belt. So we didn't lose anything, in my opinion, when we did
You
that.
know what, and I'm glad you just said that, because I am a strong believer, and I know I told you that, when we've talked, is you have to kind of have it all in your shop. You cover all the bases. Why not? People are already there dealing with a device. Why aren't you doing activations, unlocks, selling devices, doing repair? Why aren't you doing all of that? If you're a shop owner, which you are, but I mean, like, other shop owners out there that are, they just stay, we only
Hmm.
do screens and batteries. Well, why? Why aren't you doing everything else? I mean, maybe you're doing well enough, but I mean, I feel like mobile shops really have to kind of mutate into this one-stop shop for
Yeah, we
everything.
have
So
to.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I agree. We have
Mhm.
to 100%. I don't think we get to where we are today if we weren't like
Mhm.
flexible and wanting to learn about things. I mean, just the simple fact of branching off from selling phones to fixing phones, super scary
Huge.
experience for us. super scary because that was an avenue I knew nothing about prior to prior to trying to
Right.
go and do it. I didn't know anything
Were you
about it.
handy at least? Did you?
Nah, none
Okay.
of that. I am your client base. You always talk about
Yes.
servicing people that knew nothing and know
Nothing.
nothing.
What's a
Now,
Phillips head? I have no
yeah,
idea. You know?
a TriStar, like Y000, like that
No.
that's a whole nother language to me. A flex cable, no idea.
Yeah.
So I listen, by the time I got to your class, I knew a lot more because I had been fixing. So we'll get into that, I'm sure, in a minute. But by the
Yes.
time I got to your class, I knew a lot more. But when I first started fixing and like I started tinkering in May of 2020, that's when we kind of
Mhm.
started talking about branching off. And
That's what I wanted to ask you is like when you
oh yeah.
started tinkering, how long of a window did you kind of tinker
Ooh,
and did you damage things? Because I know I did. When I started repair, I tinkered and I broke and had to replace things. It was rough. And I was like, let me get this really going. And then I took
oh
some
yeah.
courses and I was like, wait a second. This is all wrong the way people are teaching. And that actually triggered me to make CellBotics. I was like, I'm going to master this and then I'm going to make a course because I felt like I could deliver the material better.
Oh
So
yeah.
tell me how you went from tinkering to let me see what's out there. Like
Hmm.
what happened during that time?
So May of 2020, I remember it pretty specifically because May's always been a pretty good month for our business. It's just a weird thing where May of almost every year in our business, something important happens. So May of
Right.
2020, we're talking, me and my wife, and we're like, hey, let's just look into this. So my mom had an iPhone 7. She had it laying around. I told her what I planned on doing. She's like, hey, take my 7 and practice on it. Best thing that could have happened. And the worst thing that could have happened. And I'm gonna explain why. So I'm tinkering with our iPhone 7. I'm taking it apart, taking the battery out, got it working, put it back together, sweating, phone works. I did that about 3 times. And then I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, I think I'm ready to fix now. So fast forward, we get a customer come through the door. They got an iPhone 7. Crazy enough. I go to fix their phone, rip the Touch ID Flex, just ripped it because I don't
Right.
think I had done that part yet. I had took the screen off, took the battery out, took the charging
Yeah.
port, but I never actually took that piece off. So I
Oh,
ripped the
buddy.
Flex. Oh my gosh. Luckily, customer super understanding. I explained to her to get her taken care of. I think I replaced the device or something I ended up doing because I had a
Yeah,
couple
let's
devices.
let's elaborate a little for people who don't know. In the 7, if you rip the little cable, they lose that.
Touch ID's gone.
Yeah, and it's like when it scans your finger kind of thing, right?
Yep.
When it's like, so
Yep.
you don't get that. You can still touch it, but it wouldn't like open up things and unlock. So it's a little older phone for some of you that maybe have never had a 7. You might not understand this, but some of you will. So
Oh
he
yeah.
ripped that, and that was like irreplaceable at that time. It was like a part that if you broke, it just never has the feature again. So you had to replace
Nope.
the phone. So that makes sense to me. And that's really nice that you did that. Some shops that would do that kind of damage or permanent damage to a device, they don't replace the device. And I'm so against that. I'm like, if you damage a device where you permanently damage something, a feature, you need to either one have known that that was going to happen before and been like, hey, we're going to change your battery and there's going to be a warning and let the customer know before. But if you do it during the repair and it's your fault, then you need to replace the phone. That's my
Oh
theory,
yeah.
and that's how I've always run my business.
Oh yeah, I'm big on that. Yeah, talking about
Mhm.
that, we can go for hours on that particular topic
Yeah.
because the same way with Face ID, Touch ID, any of those type of features that are paramount. Like I'll be honest with you, I had this conversation with someone the other day. Like if my Face ID didn't work on my iPhone, I'd buy a new phone. That's how important it is to me. Like I would not
Right.
use my iPhone without Face ID. So yeah, I just I put myself in the customer
Same,
shoes on that. So definitely.
same. I'm
So
the same
so
way.
so I still remember that customer to this day, which is a beautiful thing. So I broke it. So for about 2 months, I didn't fix anything. All I did was practice, practice,
Okay.
practice. And then I researched courses. I don't know if you're going to get into that question, I'm sure, but I started researching
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
courses.
That's fine. Mhm.
Um, and here's the funny part about that. So I'll rewind a little bit. Back in
Mhm.
2019, we heard about your course.
Okay.
But we had a lot going on. We were trying to get a business open. We were going through the motions of getting a build out done. We were signing agreements. It was just a lot of movement going on in 2019. So I was like, hey, I don't have time to take a course. Because at that time you were in South Carolina. I was like, hey, I got a driver fly. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to be away from this because I
Yes.
don't want to lose time. So
Right.
2020, stopped fixing customers' device for about 2 months. In about August, I started up again because at that point, I knew what to be weary of. And also,
Right.
I had an iPhone 7 to practice on that I broke. So I kept practicing on that because she gave me her device. Then I got a couple Samsung phones and we're practicing on them and got comfortable with them. And then in August, we started fixing again. I would occasionally get customers coming in with phones that needed fixing. I'd fix them, everything would go smooth. But there were times when I was breaking stuff. Another phone that comes to mind, a LG K51. I would rip that. I would, for whatever reason, when I was taking the back off, I'd rip that sensor on the back for the fingerprint.
Yes.
So, so, so,
LG.
so, so some of these
Yeah.
memories come to mind. So I started realizing like I'm probably about 60% proficient, but I want to get to 90 to 95%. So then I said, hey, if I want to take this thing to the next level, I got to go to a class. So October 2020, reach out to CellBotics. I actually called you on the phone. It was late. You're not going to remember this. It was super late because
Probably not.
I
You
had
already
closed
know
my
me. I
store.
have a terrible
I had
memory.
I had closed my store and I call and it's like 9 o'clock at this time and you answer the phone. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what? No. And I'm just asking you questions about the course, like who it's for, how long is it, just kind of getting the basics of it. Our conversation went very good. It was smooth. I even remember asking you, like, why are you still there? I expected to have to leave a voicemail and hear back from you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Craziest thing. So
Yes.
we sign up for the course, we drive up, and the rest is history. I mean, we pretty much started learning
Yeah.
how to
I
repair
want
from
to
there.
visit on a few things that you mentioned. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of go in a little bit on when you decided to go from employed to self-employed. Now, I don't, you didn't go from, working to go into repair, but you started in that journey. But a lot of people struggle with saying, let me start a business from where I am, standing where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at. Can you just really quickly touch on what it took? What kind of support system did you have? I mean, how did you guys, I mean, did your wife maintain a job while you did this, or did you, both of you leave your jobs? Did you keep a job and then started? Did you save up?
Great
Did you
question.
win the lottery? Did somebody give you a gift? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did you do this? You know what I mean?
So for us, it was a very interesting dynamic. It came about from a conversation with a family member, and
Okay.
then we started researching different prepaid carriers. So the move was I left, and my wife had another job. She was working at a family business. She stayed. We had a good amount of money saved up between the both of us to get us by in a nest egg. What I would say for anyone that's looking to make that transition, if you can't keep that current job that you have, and it's going to require you, like I couldn't keep my current job. I was moving into something that was going to require my full attention. So I had to leave. If you're going to leave, have at least 3 to 6 months worth of savings, income, whatever it is that you have. If you can do
That's
6 months
good.
to a year, even better. We didn't know we hit some hard times because COVID came, so we didn't even know what was headed for us. Within we opened up. Actually, we opened January. We started everything in 2019, but another story for another day. We got open way later, probably 2 months later than we expected, due to some contracting issues. So
That
we opened in
happens.
I know, right? That stuff happens. We didn't know. We learned through that, hire the right
Yeah.
people. Our build
Yeah.
out took way longer than we even anticipated. We expected to be open November before the holiday, so we missed that rush. But we pretty much tried to run it as seamless as we could and as slim as we could during that first few years because again, COVID hit, that impacted us completely, and we didn't want to have any situations where we had to close our business. We
So
didn't want
you're in
that.
there working.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm in there grinding. I'm in there
Oh,
working.
yeah.
I'm in there. We were open 7 days a week at the time, and I probably worked 6 days. I think I took Sunday off starting out initially.
You got like a kitchen
Um,
in the back where you're like
I got
making
a cot in
food
the
and
back.
you're
I got a cot in the back. Luckily, there was a restaurant next to us, right next door. So
yeah,
like I was able to go
yeah,
get food and come back and just work
yeah.
and be immersed in what was going on in our business. So it
And
was a
you have
blessing.
to do that. I really want to commend you guys on that. You did it the right way. I do see some people where they don't have the spousal support. So I do want to, just recognize you and your wife, how strong your relationship is.
Oh, that was key. There
Gosh.
would have been no store without her support, 100%.
Right. And
Like
like
there's no
you
way.
being, it's her support, her drive, her belief in you, but then also your willingness to want to take you and your family to the next level generationally wise.
Oh yeah,
Like,
definitely.
Man, I can't, I mean, it gives me goosebumps when I talk about it because I deal with so many, I'm just gonna say, okay, men, right? Because this is a male-dominated industry. Yes, I get
Hmm.
women in class. It's very infrequent. So 95% of our students are men. Probably 70% of them have zero support system with what their goals are, and they struggle so badly because someone at home doesn't trust in their vision, doesn't really support it, doesn't see it, doesn't agree with it, doesn't think they can afford it, doesn't think it's a good idea, wants them to stay with the job. There's all these different things, and it doesn't always mean that it's invalid or bad, but it's very hard to do something like this, and you can when you're on your own, I get it, but then when you've got someone that's actually a negative against you, it just, you can still do it, it just makes it really difficult. So I'm just really glad that you guys worked so well together, that you were able to do this properly, because if you had to try to save up the money, then quit your job with no one else around you to kind of be your cheerleader, fall on when finances are needed, things need to get paid, it would have been much more difficult, even though it still was difficult. Imagine, you know
It
what I
would have been
mean?
horrible. Oh my gosh. It would have been, I probably would have closed shop. I'll be honest. I wouldn't have been able to
And
maintain it.
many people do that.
Yeah,
They
I probably
go
would have.
and they put so much, but then they feel so isolated from their own
Hmm.
family, their own home, and they just give up. So I'm just really happy that you guys did that. So I agree with you. Saving up. Now, if you're watching this and you have like financial issues, you don't know how to save, you're in debt, look up Dave Ramsey, because this is something that I did. I did the Dave Ramsey show and program. I don't know if you've ever heard of Dave Ramsey, or
We
you're
do financial
laughing.
peace all the time. It's funny.
Okay.
We go in and out of financial peace. Like we'll go
Yes.
and do it for like 6 months to a year. It's funny. So I definitely know Dave. Wonderful
Mhm.
thing.
Yes.
Wonderful thing for sure.
You
To get your life
can
structured.
get out of debt, and you can be where you want to be and know a timeline. And so I always recommend Dave Ramsey, just watching YouTube, buy the book and follow the program because it works. I did it and I still do it
Hmm.
like you. Like I'll go like months where I'm like just buying all kinds of stuff and I'm like, credit cards are kind of high. Rice and beans and rice. Here we go.
Yeah, rice and beans, tighten the belt. Oh yeah, that's right.
And I also believe in you don't have like you don't have a spending problem, you have an income problem. So
Hmm.
I'm always looking for creative ways to make more income. So if you're watching this, you're like, oh, I could never do that. I could never. I'm living check to check. I could never save up 6 months of income for bills. Don't say that. First off, you're limiting yourself. Second off, look up Dave Ramsey
Hmm.
because you most definitely can do
Definitely,
it. Hmm.
definitely. And a
Um,
little side note, we
Go
live in
ahead.
an economy now where it's a gig economy. So you could turn an app on your phone and make $300 in a day if you got enough hustle and grind to you. So
Hmm.
like it's all about where we're at here. I'm big on making sure that I'm mentally disciplined and mentally strong to do the things that I need to do here at my business, at home, and all those things. So yeah, definitely. You brought up a great point, Dave Ramsey. Swear by him.
Oh man, Reggie, I have a personal TikTok account where I'm building it to sell products. And I also have a vending company, and I posted about the vending company. I'll just randomly post like, oh, made $6,000 this weekend, or I'll video record me buying all of my stuff at Sam's Club. And I had like 3 carts full of hot dogs and drinks, and I videoed it. And I posted on TikTok, and a lady comes underneath, oh, must be nice to be able to afford all of that. And it was like people that I know from the industry came in and are like, what are you talking about? Like, this is like the most hardworking woman. You don't even know her. And I reached out to the woman. I was like, if you feel this way, if you're someone who looks at other people that you think are successful and say in your mind, must be nice, you don't understand what it takes to be
Mm-mm.
successful.
Don't get
We
it.
bust our tails.
Don't get the grind. I'm not even gonna tell you what I listen on that topic. We
Yes.
have a house in Georgia. We're getting ready to relocate back to Florida. And
Nice.
I'm driving from Florida to Georgia almost every week,
Mm.
back and forth to six and a half, 7 hour drive, depending on what's going on and depending on Atlanta's traffic, to make
I
sure
know
that
that right.
I'm physically here in the store. So listen, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. Like there's not a limitation in my mind. There's not a hey,
Mhm.
and that's what most people don't get. Like we just pushed through the barriers. We had the same fears and anxieties and self doubt before we opened that anyone else that wants to go into business or do something. We just pushed through it and we just kept persevering and we just said, hey, it's going to be something
Yeah.
on the other side once we get there, and that's kind of what kept us motivated and going, and what's gotten us
Yeah.
here almost 5 years now.
It's not that you didn't have barriers.
Oh, we
It's
had
that
them.
it's your personality to push through them together. That's the only difference. It's not like nobody handed me money, nobody handed you money. Here's a blueprint. Here's no, we've had to figure it out and push through. So anybody that's watching this and you're like, well, I want to take something that's going to give me everything I need so I don't have any issues. That doesn't exist in entrepreneurship. So,
Not at all.
no. So about Florida, are you opening another location there? Just really quickly, do you
No, no,
have to?
no.
Do you know?
Our stores in Florida. We moved up to
Oh, it is in
Georgia,
Florida.
but yeah, our stores in
Got
Florida.
it.
But we moved up to Georgia,
Got
and
it.
then we're
Okay.
moving back.
Nice. I love Florida. Okay, so what made you decide to choose Cellbotics specifically? Was there anything that you can remember? I know it was a long time ago, but there at that time there was other courses out there and other
Yes, I'll get into
options.
that. So
Hmm.
we reached out to I don't remember the name of the course. There was three courses we reached out to other than
Hmm.
CellBotics. There was one in Vegas.
Yes.
They seemed really, really advanced. They were teaching micro soldering. I didn't know at the time what the heck micro soldering is, but I know now. And then there was
Hmm.
another course that we looked up in like Arizona somewhere. And then
Hmm.
there was another place, I can't remember where. But
Hmm.
long story short, we reached out to them, called them. They didn't seem to want to explain their process, if that makes
Okay.
sense. And I had a
Okay.
problem with that. Like they didn't want to answer any questions. I'm new
Hmm.
to this. I don't know anything about it. I just had simple questions like, hey, do you guys provide tools? Do you provide like simple
Yeah.
stuff that I asked you?
Yeah.
Like, so I knew what I needed to do coming to the course. And they were very kind of cold, weren't very
Hmm.
personable. And I'm like, yo, I don't want to learn from someone that I'm
Right.
gonna go give you a lot of the courses were expensive, 4 or 5 thousand, six
Yeah.
thousand dollar courses. These weren't cheap
Mhm.
courses. I'm not gonna
Right.
give you this money. I get to your course and you present the same exact way that we interacted.
Right.
How in the world am I gonna learn if that's the way you're presenting? So a lot of
Right.
it, the choice with Cellbotics came to me picking up the phone, calling you, and being like, "Yo, that's a good call.
Yeah.
We're doing this."
I
Like I think I
used
paid
to.
the same day or the next day. I was like, "Here, we're
Yeah,
good."
I used to answer all the phone calls. I have a grasshopper and it would ring to my cell phone when we weren't open. And if I was like sitting in my couch in my living room doing nothing, I would answer. That's changed. I have a team now and
Thank
Michelle
God.
answers the phones. I, so I couldn't continue that. Like if you think about
God no.
that, God, I used to when I first started, I used to give my cell phone out. And still to this day, I still get students that are old students that will it'll be Sunday at 5 p.m. and they're like ringing my phone. Hey, this phone is broken. I'm like, listen, I'm sorry. I'm at dinner. There's a team now behind me that this is how you can
Hmm.
talk to them. And they're actually on the clock and I'm paying them to help you. So I think that is just the evolution. But yeah, we actually do answer our phones all times of the night, all days. Michelle does it now and Shura. So they're the actual trainers. I was like, it's better to have the trainers than me because I kind of step up and out and let Shura move in as the trainer to replace me. And Michelle, she does the computer courses. So, but they will actually answer and talk to you about the course. And they
Hmm.
may say, hey, we have a syllabus online. Let me show you how to get there. Here's all the detail because it is a lot to go over. But yeah, we do answer the phone. And I knew that was a big difference. And then also just what we taught. Because you did mention micro soldering. And now and I think you'll agree with me. Someone who doesn't even know what a screwdriver is cannot learn micro soldering and their business
God no.
and basics in 1 week.
It's too much. Way too much.
Yeah. So a lot of people entering, they don't get that. What they hear me say is we don't teach something that someone else does, but they're not really hearing my heart. You are not ready.
That's too
Micro
much for you.
soldering, too much. How much micro soldering do you guys do now? Like, are you guys doing micro soldering? You outsource it.
We outsource. We've been talking about doing it.
Yeah.
There's an interest in it. We do refurb, but we don't do micro soldering.
So you do screen refurb where you take the glass
Hmm.
off, put new glass. That's awesome because I always tell students, I'm like, you're eventually going to do at least one of those. You would do all this basic stuff, but then you need to either go refurb or micro soldering. Are you doing B2B refurb like for other shops?
Not at all. Just
Not
for
at all.
customers. Just
Just
customers.
how much do you feel like your flow is with refurb for your own customers?
We probably do anywhere from 15 to 20 phones a week refurbing, I would say.
Wow,
And
that's
then
pretty
and then that
awesome.
becomes part of our inventory. as a
because
way
there's
of
more
refer.
profit margin there.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
So
Listen,
you made the
that
right
is.
choice.
Oh yeah, I think so. I still want to get into micro soldering. I just want to have a good setup for it. But
Well, you have
refurb is
to look at it
definitely
this
the
way.
path.
How many customers am I going to touch with micro soldering or refurb? What's the best route to go first? I always say refurb because you can touch the
Definitely.
most current customers, right? But Reggie, we're going to talk later because, I have a little blueprint for doing B2B, and I feel like you, as much as people like you're not afraid to be visible. You can turn on B2B so easily if you were ready, though, because you might get really, really
Really
inundated.
inundated with work. Yeah, inundated. You said the same exact word. I was thinking inundated with that work. Oh yeah, I'm listen. I got you.
Okay, we'll talk about it afterwards real
Oh yeah,
quick
we'll
because
talk.
I think you can do it. There's a huge gap, and I'm going to tell you what the gap is that no one is filling. And everybody I talk to, they're afraid to do it. And I'm like, if someone would just do what I tell them, they will be so successful at doing B2B. You're going to have a team of refurbers. So, but nobody's done it, and I don't want to do it. I'm in a
I'll take
time in
your
my
advice.
life. Yes. So I'm in a time in my people say, well, why don't you do it then? Well, because I don't do anything that requires me anymore. I'm in a time in my life where I'm like, if I do a business or something, I need to be able to hand it off. And I can't, I don't want to hand that off and build that all out. So, okay. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But, so that's why we don't teach soldering in the beginner's course. We leave that to people when you need to learn soldering is after you've mastered running your business, doing daily repairs that walk in, then you can think about refurb or micro soldering. That's why we don't have that there because it is a waste of time. And anyone who tells you otherwise, and I will go on the record for this, okay? If someone says, I don't know what a Phillips head is, a tri-wing is, I've never opened a phone, and there is a school telling you, we can teach you all the basics and micro soldering in 5 days, they are misleading you and they are taking your money from you. And I will talk to any school owner directly to their face and tell them that without any fear.
I
It's a
don't
challenge.
disagree.
Yes. Okay. So can you just really quickly give what was your experience in class? Like what was anything? I know it was a long time ago. How did you feel in class? I know that I am a very direct trainer. Michelle and Sure are much more friendly is the way I like to put it. I'm friendly, but I'm more like, this is what you're here to learn. And it is my job to teach you, and you need to stay focused. And I'm going to tell you, about yourself if you don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah. I'm not gonna get into that, but yes, that happened in our class.
Yes. So
So
give some highlights. Yes.
class was wonderful.
Mhm.
Not only networking and being around people that were kind of on a similar path as me at the time, which I still talk to some of those guys to this day. Like I spoke to one of the guys from training. Yeah, it's 4 years later, and we're still talking.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I spoke to one of the guys yesterday. Matter of fact, not yesterday, last week.
Mhm.
And we still talk, we still interact, and it was just
What
great
is he
because
doing? Honestly, is he not doing repair?
he's not doing repair. Here's the funny
Okay.
part though. He was asking me about getting back into it and
Yeah.
how it's been going at our store. And me and him hadn't spoke in about a year and a half. So it was kind of out of the
Mhm.
blue when he shot me a text and I hit him up. I'm like, hey, what are you doing, bro? You still working? And then matter of fact, I sent him a picture of my plaque because I have my CellBotics plaque up above my work
Oh,
desk,
nice.
where I work at. And I sent him a picture of my work desk and was like, bro, I'm still at it. And I think that probably was some motivation. So I'm gonna reach back out to him. But class was
Yes.
wonderful, not only because of the connections we formed, but because we were there to learn. And like you said, you taught. You were no nonsense for the most part. We did have some fun in class, but we
Yes.
went through a lot of things and you explained the why behind a lot of the
Mhm.
things. Whether it was the point 0.8 on the amp reader, which I still use to this
Right.
day, whether it's how you open up a device without damaging it,
Yeah.
all those things were important to learn that a YouTube video is not going to explain. YouTube video is just
Mhm.
going to show you a guy opening the
Show
phone.
you.
You don't, and I'm gonna be real. I watch videos now, and I know that some of these devices are already pre-opened just by how
Yes.
much they don't struggle to open it.
Yes.
So it doesn't show you the struggle of opening an iPad, for instance. It
Yes.
doesn't show you the struggle of opening the back of a Samsung and how careful you have to be. And we learned that in class.
Or why
And
when you're watching a video, this is a big one, is someone is doing something.
mhm.
You're not looking at their wrist and saying, oh, they're moving this way. You just see them open. But there's a reason why they did the wrist and they don't explain that.
Mhm.
So it's like small things that you're like, you're just saying, oh, they just opened it. Oh, but you didn't recognize this. You know, like it's
Mhm.
little things like that that we really do actually explain. And we say, this is why you move your hand this way. This is why it's
Mhm.
not just looking at the fact that it got open, it's all the little things around it that is happening, you know. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that. And I want to highlight really quickly the percentage of people that come to class, some that go off and do amazing things. I mean, I've got people like you, it's freaking amazing. I mean, blow my mind how you changed your life and how you took it and ran with it. I've got people that come to class and they fizzle out, you know, before they even leave class, they're like, I can't do this. You know what I mean? I've got people that they go and they shoot their shot and they try and they fail, you know. We've got students. I mean, I have a student right now that actually owns his own franchise line. He made his own franchise brand, you know. So it's like you can do so much with it depending on how much you put into it and not give up, you know.
Mhm.
And I hate to say it sometimes because people do get offended. If you end up not succeeding at it, it's something you did because you can, you know, you can.
Oh
It's just,
yeah.
you gotta just, you know, put your feet in the ground and, you know, hooks in the ground and actually make yourself move forward and do the uncomfortable things. So hopefully he gets back into it and he sees, because
Oh, he will. He
imagine
will.
how he feels. Like I sat in class with this guy, you know, and it's these years later and I'm still here. You know what I mean? I
Oh
wanted to
yeah.
be there and it feels like wasted time. I talk to students all the time and they're just like, I took 5 years ago. I want to come back into it. And to be honest with you, there's one student, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to put him out there, but he calls me every couple of years. I'm going to come back. Okay. And the last time he called me was a few months ago. And I straight up told him, I said, listen, don't come back. You're not made out for this. You're going to make a bad impression on the industry where I want really good people owning businesses. He's like, why are you saying that? I'm like, you have taken this course multiple times, not stuck to it, you know,
Multiple times.
multiple times,
Jesus.
and not stuck to it. You keep wanting to come back. You're wasting my time. I'm like, you're talking to me. I should be doing something else. I should not be talking to you. You're on my phone talking to me, wasting my time, asking about something that you've already tried multiple times and not followed through with. You have no follow through. Please don't come back. There's other places you can go. And he was like, I mean, I can book online. I was like, yes, you can, because we have a relationship now, you know,
Yeah.
after all these years. You sure can, and I will take your money, but I don't want to hear anything else from you until you have a store. When you say I have a store and I'm doing well,
Oh my
you can
gosh.
call me. Don't call me again until then. Because some people need it like that, you know, like
Mhm.
nobody's ever straight up with them. You know, I'm not always,
Gotta be.
you
And I got to rewind back in my story in
know,
2020. I
okay, go
forgot
ahead.
a very important part. You just brought it up
Mhm.
to me. So my cousin owns a repair shop in Florida as well. He's in Bradenton. And
Nice.
I called him. This is when we were still doing activations. I had never done any repairs. This is after I broke the phone in May.
Oh,
This is after I broke, and I'm like scared as all get out to fix phones. So I go down to Bradenton for 3 days, and I'm in his shop, and I'm expecting him to just kind of show me the ropes and show me things. He hands me a phone that's a customer's immediately. I'm like freaking out. I still remember the phone. It was an A20. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, dude. What? I'm like, bro, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I had never even opened up an iPhone 11 or XR. The same day he hands me
no.
XRs and 11s, I'm freaking out. I'm thinking about the Face
Yeah.
ID flex. I'm thinking about all the stuff that I could potentially damage. But he just threw me to the wolves. And the funniest thing about it, by the third day I was there, I was super comfortable. Not comfortable enough to
Good.
start fixing phones in my store yet because I waited another 2 months and I kind of tinkered.
Mhm.
But I was really comfortable after that. But it's funny,
Yeah.
he threw me to the wolves. He was like, hey, man, you either going to get it or not get it. And I didn't know what screwdrivers were what. He's like, you can't see the screw on there? Like, oh my gosh. We joke about it to this day. Like, he was like, you were like a deer in the headlights when I handed you that phone. And I told him, I was like, because I had just come off breaking a phone. That was the last phone I touched. That was the last impression I had of repair. And I'll be honest, part of me
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
I don't think I'm cut out for this. I don't think this is
Yeah.
it. But that Hail Mary I threw to my cousin,
It's like
appreciate him for that. He got me
learning to
right.
swim, you
Yep,
know? We're gonna throw you in the pool,
he
you
just
know?
threw me out there. And the
Yeah.
funniest thing about it, we still joke about it to this day. Like, dude, you look so
And
scared when I handed you that phone.
people say like, oh, but this is hard. And I say, well, the measurement of hard is only how many times you've done something. So stop looking at hard as just something is hard.
Hmm.
No, it's how many times you've done it. I'm sure a diesel mechanic who's been doing that for 20 years is like, this is nothing. But
Hmm.
a guy who's just getting into diesel mechanic is like, oh my God, this is so hard because he hasn't done it enough. So if you just instead of being in your mind thinking repair's too hard, think I haven't done this enough. So it's on my scale of hard, very hard, not
Hmm.
hard. So I've
Oh
not
yeah,
done it at all. So it's very hard. I just got to do it more to get to where it's not
definitely.
hard, you
And I have
know?
a saying to my team now, like, I think we've trained about, well, we took 2 people that knew repair, but I think at this point we've trained maybe 3 to 4 people in our
Awesome.
store how to repair. And I have a saying to them, like, you're gonna break stuff, get over it. Like that comes with the business. Like as good as I am now, going
Mhm.
on almost 5 years, I still
Mhm.
break things occasionally. You're gonna
I
break
will
stuff, get
still
over it.
break things.
You know, you
Probably
have
worse now.
you have you gotta prepare your mind. Don't go in
Mhm.
reckless, but you just gotta
Mhm.
learn from whatever it is you're doing and fix it. And normally that's how you get better, to acknowledge that, hey, things are gonna happen, mistakes are gonna happen. We're gonna take care of the customer. But through everything, we're learning to get better through the journey of repair. I mean, it's one of those things where you're just learning to get better. And that's really
100%.
what it comes down to.
You will never get to where you just won't break anything. I mean, eventually, I'm sure you will. I'm sure someone like Jessa at iPad Rehab doesn't
Oh
break anything
God.
ever.
I hope she
She
doesn't.
probably would say soldering is probably, she's like, oh, you can never be 100. I'm sure she would, but I'm thinking she probably never breaks anything, you know? I love
Definitely
her.
not a screen repair for her. Definitely not a screen.
Yeah,
She's
she
not
could
breaking.
probably do
She's
those
not
when
ripping
she's
any
reading.
flexes.
She's like eyes closed and changing the screen, Okay, so let's see here. So yeah, we've talked about a lot here. Now, just really quickly, and then we're just going to summarize. We'll be done. What is the business course side? Because you do get a business course with it. Now, when you were in class, we actually covered that in class, I believe, at that time. Was it the last day, or did you get the
Yeah,
video
it was the
part?
last day. It was the
Yes.
last
Okay.
day. Thank you for that reminder. I couldn't
Because
remember.
I recorded that since then, and it turned into 200 videos. I'm in the middle of re-recording it now, actually.
Oh wow.
200 videos, yeah. And which it's on RFA, so you should have
It
access to
is
it.
on RFA. I haven't seen it, but I'll make sure I go check it out. I'll
It's
probably
was
learn
I
something
actually
still
made
to this day.
two, one for mobile techs and one for retail. And I used to cover that in class
Hmm.
in one day. And I
Oh, God
recorded it
bless
all
you.
because I was like, this is madness. People are not going to remember this stuff. And then we would give a book. Now it's all recorded. So we spend the 4 days doing just repair, and then they have to watch the business course after. But how do you think did any business stuff stick out to you or help you or stick with you?
Definitely.
Mhm.
Talking about your experience, like a lot of what you went through in the industry and your
Mhm.
experiences and the things that you just talked about, networking and connecting, and the things that I hadn't thought about, like the B2B repair side of things, that was very
Mhm.
helpful when I
Okay.
was in the course. That was something I hadn't even considered.
And you
Networking,
already owned a business. So that's
I had already owned the
probably
store.
why, yeah, you probably didn't get a lot of it was probably like already knowledge to you. But I do spend a lot of time, like even in our business course, we give a list of people like Tony Baker,
That helped.
Ahmed. Yeah, like we give these people that if somebody's entering the industry, they have no idea who these people are. And we're like
Hmm.
giving you their cell phone number because we're like, let's just get to the point. You're gonna
Yep.
need to know who this person is.
Yeah, and that was big. Like I would look at that reference sheet and refer to a lot of the
Mhm.
people you had in there, and that's
Mhm.
that's honestly who I went to for a lot of
Yeah,
our vendor choices.
yeah.
Whether it was talking about marketing, because you talked a lot about marketing and what was needed
So
to
key.
grow and key, and then not only you talking about it, but you actually practicing it and seeing how
Mhm.
much you are active in the groups, as busy as you
Mhm.
are. Michelle's active in the groups.
Oh yeah.
Just when we go to GRE, seeing what you do, I mean, it
Mhm.
spoke volumes. Like, yeah, this is what you got to do. You got to put yourself out there. You got to network. People got to know your face. Like,
Yep.
people have to get familiar with who you are so that they can do
Help you,
business with you.
do
Yep.
business with you,
Oh God,
sell you
yes.
things, give you good deals, you
Oh
know,
God, all day.
you know, it's all matters. So, okay. Well, thank you so much for this. And really quickly, tell us what is you and your wife's future looking like? What are you guys,
One
are you just
second.
fly by night or you got a plan?
1 second. We definitely have a plan. UPS is pulling up
Go
now.
ahead, take your time. I knew
One
that was going to
second.
happen. He did
I
tell me that UPS was going to come. So you guys can see you can do the same thing. Does it take hard work? Yes.
got a package for you.
Will it look the same as Reggie's journey? No, it won't look the same as mine either. But if you take a course, you stick to what you learn, and you actually follow the process, you can make it work.
WRJC, right?
And if you're someone that
I
tried
you too.
before and it didn't work, you can always start over again, but you've got to know that you need to make sure that you stick to your guns and that you don't let yourself dwindle off again, because I know some of you are watching, we've already tried. Look at the package. So
Exciting
tell us,
Monday
where
when
are
your
you
package shows
going?
up
Y'all,
on time.
you guys seem like the planning type, like the manifesting type, writing stuff out, praying about it. Like you seem like that,
Super.
Yeah.
So, we are going to remain one location, but we want to get this thing busting out the seams. So one thing we never introduced to our business, but had always been talking to people about is device buybacks. So we
Okay.
just introduced device buyback this month, like the beginning or the end of last month. This month is kind of when we started flowing through. So we're going to start marketing that. We're going to start pushing that.
See,
And
and you're gonna do what Nicole's gonna tell you when she gets off this call,
okay.
and do B2B glass.
B2B. Oh, that's right. Yes, she did say
Okay.
B2B. So I guess I got something else to introduce hopefully by January. But I
Yes.
mean, we plan always.
Okay.
We had a team meeting yesterday and we talked about our plan. We meet once a month, first Sunday of the month as
How
a
many staff
team.
do you have now?
It's two. It's two
Okay.
staff and then four total if you count me and Megan.
Awesome.
So we meet every month. We go over last month. We go over the expectations for the next month. We go over numbers. We go over improvements. We talk about strategies to get and position different things. I mean, we go
Nice.
through so much in our meeting and it's
Is
so
Megan
fruitful and
now
it's
still
fun.
working with the other company, or is she full time
No,
with
she's
you?
not. She's full time with the store here. There
Oh, look at that.
In January though, she's going to be branching off and doing some other stuff, but she'll still be in the store.
Because I'm
Just
sure that
because
she's like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this or something.
listen,
So
she's
yeah,
got so many things and we both are very talented in a lot of other avenues, so
love it.
we try to keep like those avenues still open. We don't ever want to close those
Yes.
windows. We try to keep multiple streams of things going at one time. Once
Mhm.
we stabilize one, we kind of are like, all right, what's the next move? What's the plan? What's
I love that. And then you end up eventually having multiple income streams, which doesn't mean one business is doing badly. It just means you
mm-hmm.
have people in place. People say, well,
Oh
why
yeah.
are you doing all these different things, Nicole? Cellbotics must be struggling. No, it's not.
No.
I have people in place and well, for years, I've always had different companies, I just haven't brought them to light as much as Cellbotics because they don't need a public eye like that. But it's not because one is struggling, it's because I love multiple income streams, and sometimes we'll have a slow season. Like you said, May, really good things happening. I'm sure you have certain months out of the year that are really busy and some that are your slower months. And if you've got multiple income streams, you don't feel it. It just is a natural thing of business instead of it being, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, this month is so slow. We made $2,000 less than next month, last month. Okay, so you guys are still going to stay with the one location and expand
Mm-hmm.
out, and hopefully next time we talk, you'll be killing it with B2B, and I want a recording of that.
You're pushing me, so I'm gonna have to talk to you about it for sure.
Yes, we're going to talk about it now before we record our next thing about RFA. But and then would you recommend Cellbotics to someone if they were looking to enter the industry? I think you're going to say
Listen,
yes.
the timing of this interview is just coincidental. I recommended somebody just yesterday to
Okay.
CellBotics. Anytime anybody posts in the repair group
Yes.
CPRST, for anyone that doesn't know, I'm
Mhm.
recommending CellBotics. If I see it in any of the other repair groups, I recommend CellBotics. It changed us. It changed my
Mhm.
way of doing things. I got proficient at repair, and also it helped with networking and knowing, different things. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that was so helpful and so strategic in getting us in the right place. So yeah, I'll
Thank
recommend
you.
it 100 times. I don't care what the cost is. You can't
Thank
afford to
you.
not do it.
Yeah, it's not even that expensive.
How many phones you gonna break before you realize you need to, like, because these phones aren't cheap now. So if
No.
you go through three iPhone 15 Pro Maxes and you tear something and break it or whatever, you just pay for your CellBotics course, then some.
A multiple of them because
Yeah,
their course is
exactly.
1,500. So if
So
you
yeah,
break
so yes, I'm going base model, locked to another
yes,
carrier, just random stuff. But you
thank you. Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't afford to not take a course to learn how to do something that we want to be proficient at, and it's
Yeah.
worth it in the
And
grand scheme of things.
thank you, Reggie. And before we go, really quickly, we have said a couple of terms that you guys might not understand. So I'm going to tell you really quick. He mentioned, and I mentioned RFA. So RFA is Repairs First Association. Look it up, repairsfirst.com. It's an association for shop owners. Reggie's going to actually record a video with me because it's helped his business as well. being a member. And then he mentioned the GRE, which is Gadget Repair Expo. So if you just go to gadgetrepairexpo.com and you're new to the industry, you want to learn more about the industry, you want to meet me in person, you want to see Reggie in person, because he definitely goes every year, him and his wife, just go to this show. It's a $99 ticket. It's game changer. It's going to put you in, it's going to totally immerse you into the repair industry, and all the people that you need to know are there. It's an amazing expo. When we're recording, the next show is May 7th and 8th in Miami, 2025. I cannot wait. It's drivable for y'all, so I
We
know.
driving
Yeah.
100%.
I'm going a week before, probably gonna stay a week after. So it's in the Miami Convention Center. We go to different cities every year. So if you're watching this a few years later, make sure that you just check the website. So this show is going to keep getting bigger and bigger. We have competitions and all kinds of stuff. It's really fun. So, okay, Reggie, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. And I know that we'll be talking as we always do. So.
Thank you.